Hi there, I'm so glad you made it for another top 5 list. Today is a very special staff picks installment because it's not just my recommendations I'll be sharing, but I'm welcoming a guest to share their list as well. It's my actual big brother. We grew up together, and where I'm firmly planted as an elder millennial, Mike is right on the cusp of the generations between Gen X and Millennial. This segment was really born out of a tradition that he and I have performed frequently over the years, and that is sharing our top 5 list in any given category. We found that we have similar yet differing tastes when it comes to movies, so I hope you enjoy this segment of Staff Picks. Hey, thank you so much for joining me on the channel today to share your top 5 list and our little tradition that we have with the people. And so I'm excited to hear about the movies that you've chosen for the category of Christmas family slash kids movies. So with the festive season approaching, I feel like families are looking for movies to help get them in the mood with some recommendations. So I will let you go first with your first selection.
Okay, so my first selection is usually the movie that me and my family, or even just me, I watch to really get me into the Christmas spirit. And it was back from 1992, that early 90s film, a movie starring Michael Caine, but it's not what you think. But I know you know what it is. It's A Muppet Christmas Carol.
I actually have the soundtrack for this movie because the music is really iconic also.
It's just a fantastic,
It's so
fantastic
good.
movie. And it's got all the things that I like it's got music, it's really well done, and it's got Muppets in it.
It didn't make my list surprisingly, but it has in the past few years become a favorite just because of my youngest loving the Muppets and those characters, and Gonzo, of course, and Rizzo being completely iconic in that movie. So
So good.
love it, love it.
And Waldorf and Statler being Marley and Marley. So good. So good.
My first movie is probably my favorite Christmas movie, like top of the list just in general, but it covers many subcategories of film. It's animated, it's comedy, it's family, and it's star-studded. It is the nativity-centered, animal-focused Christmas movie, The Star. It was released in 2017, so it's fairly recent, and features the voice talents of Stephen Yuen, Keegan-Michael Key, Gina Rodriguez, Zachary Levi, which props for actually casting a Jew as Joseph, Ving Rhames, Tracy Morgan, Oprah Winfrey, Kristen Chenoweth, Anthony Anderson, and even more that I can't list.
Wow, that is a star-studded cast.
Yeah. It tells the biblical story of the road to Bethlehem from the perspective of the personified animals. It's not accurate to the story recorded in the Gospels necessarily, but it is a rare example of a Christmas movie that actually points to Christ. And it does so with so much wit and charm, laughter and tears to tell a beautiful story full of hope. And it is a family favorite for that reason.
Oh, nothing like putting the Christ back in Christmas, sis. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
So, moving right along, my second one that I have is a remake, and it's the remake of A Miracle on 34th. Again, 1990s, amazingly well done movies. This one was by Les Mayfield directed, but it was written by John Hughes, who was a
Mhm.
huge focal point as far as our growing up in the 90s and such for our generation. It had uh, Richard Attenborough as Santa Claus, who was just awesome, and Dylan McDermott, who played a hell of a really good role. And uh, again, star-studded cast. Her name eludes me, but uh, it was the same gal that played Madeline that plays the daughter in this show, and it's just so pivotal. And it's such a just a nice, fun, heartwarming story. I don't mind the black and white one, but I really do like the remake. I think it was really well done. I think it's because of just how awesome Richard Attenborough is.
Hmm.
and just how likable he is. But that's my second pick for sure.
Oh, that's such a great film for sure. It feels almost like it's Technicolor, but I agree. I prefer it to the original black and white one. So next on my list is actually Arthur Christmas. Another animated story, but this one is based on the North Pole with the Santa Claus family. It was released in 2011 and features the voice talents of the incredible James McAvoy, Jim Broadbent, Hugh Laurie, Imelda Staunton, and Bill Nighy as three generations of Santa. So, with the current Santa ready to retire, one of his two sons will take the role, and it should go to the oldest, Steve, who's very serious, voiced by Hugh Laurie. And he's very serious, even to a military degree, about the business of Christmas and the precision and organization that it takes to execute a worldwide mission like Christmas Eve is. But Arthur, who's the second born, believes in the spirit of Santa and
Always that
rather
second born.
the heart of the season, and is what's most important to him. It's funny because it's British and it has that dry British humor, but it's heartwarming and is ultimately about surviving through family dysfunctions.
And we know what that's like.
A little bit.
You know what? That is a really good one. It would have made probably my honorable mention.
Mm,
But like Hugh Laurie, I really like him a lot.
yeah.
He had that stint on House back in the day, and but even before that, like he was in so much really good British uh TV series and such. He's so funny, and to see him in more of a, a poignant role like that, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But that is a good one. Well done. That's a nice pick. For my third pick, I picked one that I don't know. I really like it. It's got some music in it. It's animated, and this is the first of my animated ones.
Mhm.
The Polar Express. Um,
Okay.
the Polar Express, uh, again, most of the voices stuff that people would know would be Tom Hanks.
Hmm.
Plays, I think, three characters in the show. He plays not only the conductor, but he plays like a street person, and then he also voices Santa Claus. And again, just the animation alone is really ridiculously incredible. And I did have a chance to see it in 3D a couple times. And in 3D, like the hot chocolate scene, get out of here. It was so cool. Again, a nice, fun-loving story about a boy that, hitches a ride on a train. It's kind of polarizing the fact that he's kind of losing that glint or that glimmer of
Mhm.
Christmas. And then ends up going to the North Pole, and then eventually throughout all this misadventure gets to meet Santa Claus, and it's really, really neat. A
Mhm.
heartwarming story, again, voiced over by Tom Hanks, who pretty much was iconic in the 90s and early 2000s, even the mid to late 80s, for people of our generation for movies and such. So, yeah, that's my third pick, The Polar Express.
Our family actually went on a Polar Express sort of experience out in Squamish, where they do the whole hot chocolate thing where you're on the train, but it was not very exciting because the train didn't actually go faster than a crawl. So, but I mean, being on a train it was still cool,
That's really cool.
and that
Oh
movie
man,
is
that would
awesome.
be fun.
Yeah. Okay, so my next one is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the live action one with Jim Carrey. It's hard to believe this one was released like 24 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Now, as much as I think this movie is only okay, it's actually my daughter's love for it that made me make this list. Jim Carrey as the title character, bringing to life the grouchy green monster from the Burl Ives animated classic, and it has actually become so iconic in our home that it's watched year round, not just at Christmas. Of course, with Ron Howard at the helm, I know this one is classic in many homes as well. But if I'm very honest, I do prefer the 2018 remake animated with Benedict Cumberbatch. But I'm alone on how I feel about that, so it's fine. Jim Carrey
You know, and I
it.
have to say I've never watched the remake animated. I like the original Burl Ives animated. That is my favorite. I don't mind the Grinch with Jim Carrey. I think he's just, the Elastic Man is just so funny, and there's so many funny elements of that show.
Mhm.
There's a lot of that show that bugs me at the same time, but again, it's something that's watched multiple times throughout the holiday season. You know me, I do not watch Christmas movies when it's not Christmas. So for 10th and January 7th or 10th is my window of opportunity to watch Christmas movies. Other people in my household, they watch Christmas movies all year round, which I find is very odd, but that's okay. My next pick is one with Tim the Toolman Taylor in it. It's The Santa Claus. Iconic movie, started the franchise. I did like both the first and second one, but I do like the first one the best. So good. Judge Reinhold being like, the dry
Yes.
stepdad kind of was good. I really like Judge Reinhold a lot from like the Beverly Hills Cop, and the storyline is great. How Tim Allen is this like super, executive slash marketing guru, and Santa falls off his roof, and all the hijinks go from there. And he's got, kind of an incorrigible relationship with his young son, and this is just a heartwarming thing. Brings them both back together. But it's just so good, so funny. Everybody in my family loves that movie. So good.
I don't love the child actor in that one,
Neither do I.
Charlie, but
Think they could have done better there, but you know what?
it's
It
fine. He's
really
not
isn't
in
about
it.
him as much as it is. It's not.
Okay, so my list would not be complete without the 1990s classic Home Alone. This was, of course, a staple in our family growing up because our dad would laugh until he cried every time we watched it. And it made it more funny for us, I think. So, but now I find myself laughing at the same parts that he laughed at. And like
It's because we're getting old, sis.
the way Harry and Marv like get all tore up through Kevin's funhouse, right? And aside from that, before she was Moira Rose, Catherine O'Hara was Kate McAllister. The bad parenting that turns out well somehow for decades.
Able to get John Candy in the movie. I love that. Fun.
One day of filming, he showed up and just blew
Oh,
us all
so
away. And I know we also all wonder what Kevin's dad did for work to be able to afford their life, but
right.
I think my younger boys see themselves as Kevin a lot of times. They like to watch him best the bad guys too. So
Do have another one that is out of the scope for my to round up my top five. This movie came out mid 80s, and it was Santa Claus the movie with Dudley Moore and John Lithgow. Lithgow plays this like ruthless business guy. Dudley Moore is just Dudley Moore, right? Half in the bag. The movie itself, if you haven't seen it, it really is worth the watch, but it is 100% an 80s, mid 80s film. It doesn't have all the CGI that you're looking for and all that kind of stuff. But as far as Christmas movies go, man, it's hard to come by to watch. But once you do, maybe you think the same as I do or not. But I think it's just a heck of a Christmas.
I have to say I've never seen it. I've never watched that movie. So though I've seen the cover, like I can
Wow,
picture
that's a
it,
movie you've never seen.
I've never seen it. So we'll have to add that one to the list this season. So the last one on my list is the only one from the streaming sites. Klaus from Netflix Studios. It's only 5 years old, and so we've only watched it as a family maybe 2 or 3 times, but each time we do, we are reminded of the unlikely yet lovable story and the characters. The voice actors are some of the most accomplished in the industry, including Jason Schwartzman, J.K. Simmons, Rashida Jones, and Joan Cusack. There is, of course, a timelessness to the fictional origin story of the famous St. Nicholas, but it feels fresh in the storytelling and the writing.
Interesting. I don't think that's another one I don't think I've watched either. Klaus. some of the newer stuff. I think it's also with my children getting older that you kind of stem away from some of the animated stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
Unfortunately, like, but that's something that I'll probably go ahead and watch now. This one. I did have a couple honorable mentions. One being probably it could have made it into my top five if I didn't want to have two out of the five Muppet Frenzy, but Muppets Family Christmas that was done back in 1987. The crew goes to Fozzie's mom's house. Casts of like The Muppet Show and Sesame Street and Swedish Chef
Right.
Iconics stuff is in there too. And watch out for the icy patch. Like it's just so funny. It's just so fun. It's unfortunately so short because I think it's only about 30 or 40 minutes long. My other honorable mention would be the old claymation movies from back in the day that used to be on Christmas Eve. Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all that stuff. Island of Misfit Toys. I love all those ones. Santa Claus is coming to town. Those ones are all
Hmm.
great too. But I think you have to jumble them all together. One is not without the other. Even though they don't play roles within each other, I think that as a Christmas movie franchise, I think that's one of the ones that I would lump all five or another old one, Babes in Toyland. Had to have been, I didn't look up the date, but it was Drew Barrymore, and I think it was, again, late 80s, early 90s, possibly, but I think late 80s, because she was a teenager then. But also, it's an obscure Christmas type movie, but again, just really well done. Great music.
I didn't have very many honorable mentions. One of them was Miracle on 34th Street, which was on your list, the remake from the 90s, and it again an obscure sort of Christmas title. It's called The Man Who Saved Christmas, and it stars Jason Alexander as a toy maker. I suppose the Great Depression or around the time of the First World War. I've only watched it maybe once or twice, but it's just one of those not entirely around Christmas, but just the kind of spirit of the season. That's all I had. I'm actually shocked that we didn't have any crossover.
But I'm shocked that we didn't have any crossover, to be honest. How family dynamic over the years changes a little bit. Your guys' outlook and what you guys look for in a holiday movie and what myself and my family look for in a holiday movie. And that's fine. It's just a little bit more focused within the realm of what our family dynamic is like. It's pretty sweet that we didn't have
Oh,
any crossover. I'm actually quite shocked.
thank you so much for doing this. That was,
It's
I think,
awesome.
thanks again to Mike for sharing your top five list of Christmas family movies. Though we will watch all of these movies over the next few weeks and leading into the festive season, we always start with The Star. And for Mike's list, I'll be checking out Santa Claus the movie. Let me know in the comments below what you're watching tonight, if it's a Christmas movie or not, and which Christmas family movies make your top five list. Also, let me know which category we should recommend from next. Membership is free, so subscribe if you want to, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.